I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success, let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you were there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. So let's jump right in. I'm very excited to be joined by Gregory Elfrink, who is over at Empire Flippers, Director of Marketing. And Gregory, welcome to the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. Hopefully I'll be able to add some value to the audience.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to talk about Empire Flippers and all that you're doing, but I love to get to know the person behind the microphone. Gregory, you were born in Anchorage, Alaska. I can't say that we've had too many guests on that have a lot of Alaskan background. So what was it that, tell us your life story in 20 seconds or less, and that led you to your passion for Empire Flippers, and we'll talk all about your organization in just a moment.
Sure, yeah. So like you said, born and raised in Alaska. I used to be an oil field roughneck, and then I got really tired of that, hated it, so I moved, self-taught myself internet marketing, and now I am the head of marketing over at Empire Flippers, and I actually live in Vietnam, so I'm no longer in the cold. I'm in the tropics of Southeast Asia.
Look at you. So Empire Flippers, you help people buy and sell online businesses. So indeed, yes, you could be in Anchorage, you could be in Vietnam, you could be anywhere in the world, because this is where we are going. So tell us about Empire Flippers. Where did the company get started, and why are you so passionate about what you do?
Sure. So we got started way back in 2011. We've grown a lot. So I joined the team in 2016. I was just writing for the blogs back then. And what we do is we help entrepreneurs make an exit. So when they want to go sell their business, whether it's an e-commerce store, a SaaS business, Amazon FBA, or even a content site that's like usually monetized through affiliate and display ads, we help those entrepreneurs go and make that exit, which is a pretty difficult thing for a lot of entrepreneurs because it's not exactly what they're doing every single day, right? It's what I like to call a highlight event. And I'm passionate about it because I just love what we get to do. You know, I had a friend, he had $1 million content site with us, and he ended up sending me an email about 24 hours after we listed it, like, oh man, or a Facebook message rather, like, oh, you changed my life. Like, oh, you must have got a really good offer. Turns out he had a full cash offer within 24 hours and was all sold. Like that's awesome. I love doing stuff like that. So that's a big reason that gets me, buzzed for the job.
That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. So you have quite a bit of experience as a subject matter expert around search engine optimization. I was watching some of the things that you've done before. So you have talked in the past about 11 different business models, and we're not going to have time to go through all 11, but I'm curious, what is your favorite business model? Which would you buy and why?
Sure. So my favorite is content businesses. So I like to call them the modern day magazine. If you build them right, that is. Most of the people build them more like brochures, but I love building media companies. And I think if you do it right, that is the most powerful business because you could always turn your audience or turn that media company into, say, an e-commerce store or a SaaS business down the road. And with a focus on audience building, I just love that part. And I think, honestly, building an audience is the most valuable thing you can do with your business.
Totally. And you are very familiar with a lot of great software tools and resources that are available that help web-based businesses. Are there any sort of shortcuts or secrets that you want to share with our listeners?
The secret is every shortcut is a long cut. Don't do it. It's terrible. In terms of actual tools, Google Analytics is a free tool. If you want to pay for like an SEO tool, I highly recommend Ahrefs. I'm actually wearing an Ahrefs t-shirt right now. I'm good friends with the owner of the company, or one of the owners. And that is a tool I use every day with my SEO background. But Most tools you only need them for like a month or two, so you don't have to break the bank if you want to go get a tool.
Good advice. Good advice. Again, I'm chatting with Gregory Elfrink from Empire Flippers. Empire Flippers, growing company, like you said, got started in 2011 and is now bought or sold, helped people buy or sell over $375 million worth of online businesses. So tell us how your colleagues at Empire Flippers partner with whether our listeners looking to buy or sell. What does that process look like?
Yeah, the basics of it, if someone wants to buy or sell a business, the first place to start is what we would call on the buy side a criteria discovery call. So if the listener out there is like, wow, that sounds really cool to buy a digital business, but I have no idea what I'm doing, you really want to start there because it's not really a sales call. We like coach you through like, okay, what's your skill sets? What's your budget? What are you trying to do? A big part of both buying and selling a business is figuring out why do you want to do this? And people are like, oh, I want to make more money. But that's actually very surface level. There's usually a deeper reason, like, oh, I want to go travel the world as a digital nomad, or want to stay at home with my family, or I want to scale something really, really big, right? Like that can, I can exit at a later date for 10, 15 million, right? So these are the type of stuff we would help you with. And from there, we just help you create your due diligence checklist. So then we get you onto the marketplace, start looking at different businesses. From the seller side, we would help you build your profit and loss statement, build up a good prospectus, and really prep your business for sale to our buyer network. And the cool thing with selling with a broker, at least an established one, you get to tap into that network, right? We just crossed $6 billion in verified liquidity on our marketplace. So that's awesome news for a seller.
Totally. And every week I say on Get Down to Business that I'm going to try to get through the week without saying the COVID word, but we're just kicking off the show right now, and I'm already going to break that promise over here. So Empire Flippers, you were around before COVID, before I'd say a lot of people started just staying in their pajamas all day. But now it is definitely I'd say more the norm, people working from home, web-based businesses, home-based businesses, certainly, much more recognized. How has that changed what you've been seeing? Tell us some of the trends. And again, if somebody is looking to either buy or sell, how do they stand out from the rest?
For sure. Well, the one thing you can always do to stand out from the rest is building a really high quality business from the seller side. And both from the buy and sell side, one thing I always tell people to do is think about the other person. A lot of people approach negotiations as a showdown. It really should be a collaboration. You look at the seller or the buyer as part of your team in a sense and try to solve their problems through the transaction. But in terms of the trends of COVID, I could talk about this for a very long time. In fact, I've given like 40-minute speeches on this topic. But in a nutshell, it has taken the trends we've already seen over the last few years of e-commerce and SaaS and online business eating the world, and has sped up what would have happened in 10 years in about 11 months. So we saw a huge boom in the digital business space because of that.
And anything that you're expecting if you're to sort of look in the magic 8 ball for 5 years ahead, and what do you expect the world of e-commerce and online businesses to look like?
I think it's going to continue to dominate the space, both D2C and direct to consumer style brands, as well as the marketplace brands like you selling on Amazon or something like that. I think more and more people are getting into it. Because back when I first started, people were like, "What? Selling on Amazon? What kind of scam thing is this?" Right? But now it's become this much more matured, nuanced market, and almost everyone, especially anyone who's underneath 25, I'd say, gets the model, right? Like they understand, like, yeah, of course, that's how you do business. What do you mean go into a retail shop? Like, what are you talking about? That's so much like not convenient, right? So I think it's going to keep booming across the world as more and more people get online.
Absolutely. So Empire Flippers, amazing organization, watching the growth of you and your team. Pretty impressive, by the way, lots of career opportunities for folks. So certainly want to give a shout out in that regard. But you are the subject matter experts. You've got a number of podcasts, blog posts, really trying to educate folks on buying and selling businesses that are online. And I know you are super passionate about this, Gregory, and I know our listeners have a lot of questions. I do want to make sure folks can get in touch for that consultation on your website. I know you offer the opportunity for folks to get a free valuation on their business. How can people get in touch with you and your team and learn more?
Sure. So If you have a question specifically for me, you could always just email me, greg@empireflippers.com. I'm usually pretty easy to get a hold of. Or you can go to empireflippers.com/call and you can schedule whether you're a buyer or a seller, and you can have one of those first calls. And like I said, there's no pressure at all. It's just trying to figure out who you are, what are your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, all that good stuff.
Well, thank you for sharing your expertise with our listeners. In the last 10 or 15 seconds that we have over here, can you talk about the podcast that folks can find?
Sure, yeah. So my content manager, Sarah Nutticombe, she runs a podcast called The Opportunity, and we interview guests from business buyers to business sellers, giving the real life stories of entrepreneurs rather than, kind of the gurus selling the courses or whatever. These are real entrepreneurs, usually customers of ours. So we've seen their P&L, and we also interview, real industry experts from vendors to influencers in the space.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Gregory. Appreciate you sharing your expertise. EmpireFlippers.com. I encourage all of our listeners to get it. Check out the podcast. Got to squeeze in a very quick break on the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. We'll be right back.